really grateful today because we have an amazing, amazing treat. And that treat comes by way of an amazing pastor, preacher, beautiful souled woman by the name of Pastor Sun-Hee Kim. She is actually no stranger to our community. Many of you have met her already, and if you haven't met her, you've certainly heard me reference her oftentimes in my preaching. I'm grateful that I don't have to preach and she will, so would you help me give a warm embrace welcome to Pastor Sunny.
It's great to be here with you all, and I'm so humbled and grateful to be able to worship our Lord together. Would you join me in a prayer? Let's take a deep breath. Inhale. Exhale. Let's do that one more time. Inhale. Slowly exhale. Amen. Good. I don't know. Some of you maybe know me, and some of you don't know me, and it's first time you saw me. And let me give you a hint. If you are regular to the embrace, that I am the voice that P7 usually refers in his sermons or speaking engagements as a sound and reasonable voice in his life. Okay? So that's me. I'm Pastor Sunny, or also known as P. Sunny. And I'm in this very strange time this week because until past Sunday, I was at St. Paul United Methodist Church serving a wonderful congregation for 9 years. And this week, actually tomorrow, is my first day of work in another church called Hillsdale United Methodist Church in San Mateo. So after 9 years, and Bishop asked me and assigned me to another congregation, it's a very strange time. I haven't had experience for 9 years, and that this transition is quite difficult at times, as many of you know. And I'm here with my wonderful son, Kevin. Wave your hands, Kevin. And he is 18, and this fall he's going to study as a college student at UC Santa Barbara. And so he's going to be transitioning into a college student. And as I moved to serve in the congregations at St. Paul, it so happened to San Mateo, I also need to move my residence from Fremont to San Mateo. So as you can imagine, I'm going through a ton of transitions this summer and fall. And I'm not the only one. Actually, this week, many of United Methodist Church pastors are moving and changing this transition as well as the congregation experience changes. And I'm just so thankful to God that Embrace is not one of the churches. Amen? I don't hear it all. It's a good thing, amen? I'm glad you guys don't have to change that transition. So today, actually, this message is about, it is quite a selfish message, to be honest with you. I'm preaching to myself, not only sharing this message with you. So if you turn to book of Matthew, chapter 14, verses 22 and 32, that will be our message today. You're there. Immediately, Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to the other side, while he dismissed the crowd. After he had dismissed them, he went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. Later that night, he was there alone, and the boat was already a considerable distance from land, buffeted by the waves because the wind was against it. Shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. "It's a ghost," they said, and cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid." "Lord, if it's you," Peter replied, "tell me to come to you on the water." "Come," he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came toward Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid and beginning to sink, cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. "You of little faith," he said, "why did you doubt?" And when they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. As we are thinking about this passage, I was thinking about all the pastors who are moving this week, and all the congregations receiving and saying goodbye to pastors and receiving new pastors. I was also thinking about community of embrace, because we are not the only one who experiences tremendous changes in their lives. Just past few days, we've been to Bernie and Mike's wedding in LA. I'm sure some of you were there with me and with us, and that was a wonderful time. But getting married, that is a big change. Amen? That's a big change. Big adjustments. And I know that many of the Embrace people over the last few years have had a new member into their house. Lots of new babies. I love seeing new baby pictures. So that's certainly a lot of changes. It really changed your life. Diapers and all. And also that last week actually, one of my church member, young mom, sent me this picture in the middle. Noah, so cute. First day of preschool. We had exchanges. She said, "Pastor Sunny, it's always difficult for mom, right?" I said, "Yes, it's more difficult to mom than the kid." Isn't that cute? When I was raising Kevin, we didn't have that. I wish I had that picture. I was one of the crazy moms that the preschool teachers asked the parents, "Do not pick in. Just leave," you know. But I was one of those crazy moms behind the fence, behind the bush, to see if Kevin was doing all right. And I saw him start crying, and I was like, "Oh no, what did I do?" You know. But then later that day, when I went to pick him up, he was just playing with his friends. He didn't want to go home, you know. And he was glad to see me, but he didn't want to go home. It was fun. And I realized it was more difficult for me than probably to him. We're going through a lot of changes every day in small and big ways. And we're not immune from any changes in life either. And I'm sure that, you know, besides from whatever the things that I mentioned here, that you know that you're going through big and small changes in your life as well. You know, the truth is, the change is normal part of our lives. But the thing is, even if it's a normal part of life, doesn't make changes any easier. Amen? Just because we experience it many times doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, okay, it's another change, okay, let's just move on with it. It doesn't always happen that way. Even if the change is warranted, even if the change is positive, even if the God is giving us enough signals that it's going to be really, really good, bigger and better things, it's still difficult to go through. But is it necessary to make the adjustment and make the shift? Because if not, if we don't do that, we all know that we'll face significant consequences. Talk about my son Kevin. And as a preacher preacher's kid that he knows that I often bring him up in my sermon. That's the destiny, I'm sorry. But I got his permission. So that's his baby pictures. That little sassy boy in the middle. I just love him so much. That's Kevin. And that's his just a graduation picture. Where did time go? It's so fast, 18 years. You know, I need to make a confession. When I look at Kevin, even this day, I still see that little boy. You know, in some ways, he's going to be my boy forever, right? I always look at him and somehow see that little boy, and it puts a big smile on my face. But at the same time, I realize that he's not that boy anymore. He's towering over me he's a 6'1" tall young man. He's moving on with his life away from home and become a college student. He's going to make his life decisions. He has his own dreams, and he's going to work hard to achieve that dreams. I'm wondering what if that I am not willing to change. I'm not willing to change look at him as a young man. And what if I'm just holding on to that image that I have in my mind that I enjoy so much as 2-year-old or 4-year-old boy? I realize I need to change my role as a mom of young men. I would love him always. My love would never change. But my role as a mom has to shift into a different version. Maybe 101, 201 when he became teenagers. Maybe it's time for me to grow as a mom as 301. There's times that I don't really want to do that. But I have to. It's a journey that I must take. If I don't, I know it can cost our relationship. And more importantly, it can cost his growth and my own growth as well. I'm sure the parents with teenage boys or girls or parents with a young adult, you understand what I'm talking about. Or maybe as a young adult, you have just experienced that with your parents. You know, the human tendency is holding on to what we know is very, very strong. Even though the future is bright, even though this is a thing that you must take, and even though this is inevitable, that our human tendency is holding on to what we already know today. It's more comfortable. Even if it's not working anymore, you know that something's got to change. But we still like to hold on to things of what we know now today. Because it's familiar. Or sometimes, even if the change is coming, it's hard to change is because out of habit. It becomes so ingrained in you, so out of habit that you acted in a way that you have always done before. Like Kevin started driving recently, that was very scary. Oh my gosh. And we got into this conversation about curfews. I've been waking up and waiting for you. I mean, I have to say he's a really good boy. But I asked him that I need more time and grace. Don't grow up too fast. I need time to catch up with that change. And there's sometimes that I am just nagging like I used to. Because it's habit as a mom. See, I still treated him like a little boy in the picture, time to time. It's only when I'm consciously thinking about it and I'm aware, okay, serve him with more respect, as he deserved. But before you come to my conscious level, unconsciously, that I'm in this habitual, in this habit to talk to him in a certain way. So sometimes we do it out of habit. And I also realize sometimes we hold on to what we know now today, it's because there's a lot of involved with lots of grief and loss. It's the end of an era. My end of an era with the St. Paul. For 9 years, wonderful years, loving people. It's hard to say goodbye. Let that go. A lot of grief, a lot of loss. I want to hold on to that stage with Karen where that he come home every night and enjoy my food, you know. But that era will be ending soon. He's not going to come home every night. He's not going to be in his room every night. Instead, maybe I'm Kakao talking or I'm texting him all the time. Maybe we change it. It's an end of an era. It's a lot of loss, sense of loss and grief. Maybe that's why we hold on to what we know in the past. And it's hard for us to move on to what's next. Today's scripture reminds us that our situations that we often deal with. Today's scripture to remind us that it will give us a great insight when we face with changes in life. So the story goes that Jesus had a hard day of working, preaching and teaching. And on that night that Jesus asked disciples, get on this boat to go to the other side of the Sea of Galilee. So they got on the boat. But the funny thing is, even though Jesus said, you go to the other side of the boat, they didn't really work hard to get to the other side of the boat. And I thought that was kind of similar to what we feel about our changes. They didn't row the boat, you know. In the passage, actually, they seemed like they just were there. They got on the boat, and they were just there. And then the passage said that the wind was against it, so it became, the boat was already a considerable distance from the land. So it's almost like the change of wind that took them out into the deep water, and they didn't really seek hard to get to the other side. And then Jesus, after his time of prayer, he got down and realized that the boat was somewhere in the middle. They weren't really there yet, somewhere in the middle. So Jesus started walking on water to get to the boat. And they were afraid at first. And then of course we got to love this Peter, this quiet character. He said, Jesus, if it's you, can you ask me out to the water? Because with you, I think I can do this. I think I can walk on water. But you have to imagine that he had witnessed so much miracles of Jesus before. But this is something way beyond that he could ever imagine. It's not just watching and observing that Jesus performing miracles. He said, actually, can I be participating, be part of this wonderful miracle of you? I'm just amazed by his courage. But whatever the reason of that moment, he took the courage to ask him. I don't know about you, but I kind of understand his desire. Have you ever had that time where you feel like, Lord, take me wherever you want to take me? I want to be near you. I want to get close to you. I want to feel your Lord, lead me. And then be careful what you pray for, right? That's kind of what I did. And that took me from the journey from leave my father's house in Korea to come all the way to the United States. But I understand the desire to experience that power, to be near Jesus. The funny thing is, when he made that desire known to Jesus, Jesus' answer was simply come. The funny thing is, when that invitation is actually made, it was scary. It's also understandable that when that invitation is actually extended, that we get all of a sudden kind of feel frozen. But then, for whatever reason, Peter decided to step out of the boat. When I looked at the boat in the passage, it's reminding me of our current situation, whatever that situation that you are in. Limited, shaky. And this is what we know, what we see. Kind of small. Small, limited, shaky, but it is nonetheless what we know. And God is asking us, leading us into the deep water. Another important thing about this story is that Peter actually got out of the boat. I wonder what if he didn't take the first step out of the boat. His world remained in that small boat. But because he got out of that boat, he was able to experience the amazing God's power and abundance and fulfillment that no one else experienced. You get to be part of God's power. You get to be part of that miracle. You get to experience walk on water. You know, this year marks a very, very important year for me because this is the year that I turned 50 years old. Not quite yet, very close. And July 1st, because the United Methodist Pastors changes July 1st to June 30th, the July 1st tomorrow marks my 20th year of ordained pastor. So 50th and 20th. Very significant year. Lots of changes. And I'm very, very thankful to God who led me this far. And I'm so grateful that I was able to trust God's leading at an important time of my life that changes, that I said yes and took that first step to follow Him. I don't know if you watch Oprah show at all. I don't know. Maybe you guys are too young that when she was on TV all the time. But I used to watch her Oprah show all the time. And she liked to ask her guests that what is the one thing that you know for sure? I like that question. And I like that answers. If you ask me what I know for sure, at the age of 50, and the 20th year of my ordained ministry, as a fellow Christian, as a mom, as a sister, as a friend, this is one thing that I know for sure, my friend. That God loves you, God always be there for you, and you can trust God for that. That's one thing that I can tell you with my whole being that I know for sure. God is always there for you. God always loves you and you can trust God. And then as we read this passage, the amazing thing is when he takes the first step and trusts Jesus. It wasn't all smooth sailing either, or smooth walking either. He began to saw the wind of life, the challenges in life, uncertainty of these transitions, times, and he began to sink. But another great assurance is that Jesus was right there to hold Peter's hand when he began to sink. You know, in the passage that it says, Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. You of little faith, he said, why did you doubt? I don't know. I don't know how you read these passages, but every time I read these passages, actually I read it from the mother's heart. I don't read it as Jesus quite scolding, oh, why you have so little faith? That's not how I read it. Every time I read this passage, I read it as oh, you silly one. Do you really think that I let you go drowning down to the deep waters? You know, I'm always there for you. Kind of that way, no? You silly one. Why did you ever doubt? Mom is not going anywhere. Dad is not going anywhere. I love you always. I'll be there for you. So you need not to be afraid. That's how I read this passage. Friends, the bold first step, how it looks like to me, I want to share with you, is at first, we need to take a full acceptance of what is happening. So I found out my moving to another congregation at the end of January. And it was a blessing that we were also going through Kevin's transition and college decisions and everything, because it totally distracted me from my own transitions and changes. Sometimes a blessing. So I was in healthy denial. And once Kevin found out which school he's going to, and now I can't deny any longer. I had to fully accept that I only have a few weeks left with the loving St. Paul folks. I am moving on to a new congregation. While I'm finishing up, I need to send the new sermon series over to the new congregation. Need to start communicating with the SPLC chairs and secretaries. I begin to fully accept the change ahead of me. And that prepared me the better to say goodbye and savor all the moments that I have left with St. Paul. And also helped me to prepare, to embrace, to love a new congregation. And same thing with Kevin, that only have a few opportunities left to cook for him, for his favorite dishes. So I tried my best to do that for him. Try to savor our family time together. And try to say, I love you more. Try to hug him more. However the time that I left until he goes to college. Fully accepting what is happening, this gives us an opportunity to assess what I need to do. And you're able to transitioning by healthy adjusting and shifting your roles and your what you need to do at the moment. So to me, the mindset of fully accepting is very first step. But then the second one is, to me, I'm always trying to do that first step of action step. It's one thing to shift your minds and change perspective and change your mindset. But ultimately, we need to do something about it. Amen? We need to do some action steps. So whatever that is for you, do that. Take that first action step. But that is just the beginning. That you continue to step one step forward, another step forward, to that direction of the change and transition, until that becomes your new reality. That you feel good about settling in and adjusting completely. God's humor, though, is when you feel like you're settled in to your new reality and that becomes part of your life, God has prepared another change for you, and then you have to take another journey and take another transition, another change. That's God's humor. But it's good. Because God is trying to stretch me and to the next level and help me grow. Just like Kevin's growing, and I need to continue to grow. And that is a good thing. And God will always let me know. And you'll be alright. Kevin will be alright. And I know you're all going to be alright. Amen? It's what God is always assured. So as I ask Kevin's grace, as I'm shifting my role as a mom, and to be patient with me, I think I can do that. I think I made that transition quite successfully because I have a really good teacher. My dad is a great example. So he loves me. I have this really amazing dad. And I always call my dad, even now, and ask his wisdom and advice. And he always there for me. He always listens to me, everything I had to say, very patiently. And I remember one conversation I had with my father, that it was a time that when I tried to buy my very first house, it was a scary experience. As a single mom, and I just needed his advice. I called him. And he listened to me patiently. He asked me a few questions. He gave me some advice and opinions and his experiences, shared his experiences. And then I remember he said this. Of course, I give you all this advice, but remember it's just my opinion. And I'm sure you have worked hard to research everything. So remember you're the one who's making the decisions. And I trust you're going to make a great decision. Thank you, Dad. Thank you for encouraging me. Thank you for empowering me. But I remember that conversation is because it was a conversation that made me sharply aware how my dad had, over the years, shifted his role and adjusted his ways with me. That how he respects me as an adult now. How he trusts me. How he empowered me and encouraged me to making the decisions for my life. I was so thankful. I know that if he hadn't made that change and made that adjustment, probably that would have impacted our relationship negatively. Probably our resistance to his advice may be too imposing. But no, it wasn't that way. So I have a great example, and I know that I need to make that kind of shift with my son as well, and be empowering and be there for him at the same time making that change. And if Kevin, for some reason, felt like he's drowning and he needs my help, of course I'd be right there for him, holding his hand, just like our Heavenly Father. Friends, I don't know all the changes that you are going through, but if the changes in life that you're facing right now is overwhelming to you or weighs you down and feel like you are drowning or afraid, then I hope that you find the comfort in trusting our God, who always there for us and leading us into the future. And that you're able to take that first step with courage. That whatever the future holds, is much more than we can ever imagine now. And it will be all right because we can trust in His love. As I was going through the transitions, at times that I felt anxious, and a friend of mine who shared this quotations, and it just really helped me in this time of transition. So I want to share this one with you, and I want to invite you to read together with me. So hopefully this one will be a great reminder of God's love for you as well. Do not be afraid. Read it with me together. Do not be afraid, not now, not ever. For there is love in your life that is stronger than any power on earth, stronger than illness, stronger than sorrow, stronger than any hurt or any heart has ever known. You understand what I mean, for in the depth of your own experience, you have met this power before, been lifted up by it, sheltered by it, made whole by its unwavering presence in your life. Do not be afraid, not now, not ever, for the power that sets the stars to spin is the power that washes over you, the power that calls your name, the power that makes all things new. Friends, I hope that you hold on to this power of God's love and hold on to the hope that God is making all things new. Amen. Let us pray. Oh Lord, that we are thankful to be able to gather here as your people to worship you and praise you. Lord, that we remember all those times that you have been there for us. All those times that you have held our hands. All those times that you gave us a little nudge to take the first step. Oh Lord, that we know what we know now because you have been there for us in the past. Lord, that we don't know everything that's ahead of us. But Lord, that we trust that we'll be alright. We'll trust that whatever they are ahead of us, that will stretch us, will grow us, will be better and bigger things that you have prepared for us, Lord. Oh Lord, that we are thankful to be called as your people and as your children. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.